really super excited to hear some great poems. I'm super excited to hear Tim's new album. Tim, how long has the process been on this album? Because
the recording process was just a couple weeks, but I mean, some of these songs are almost 10 years old. Some of them were written in 5 minutes last month, so.
Okay. Well, the anticipation has been longer than that.
Yeah, that's right.
Do we get to vote and guess which ones were the 5-minute songs
Yes,
and the 10-year songs at the end?
Absolutely.
That's right. Well, you don't want Cowboy Revolution to know that it's haphazardly put together.
Sure.
But all right. So with that, I guess we'll just welcome up the music of Timmy Ray.
Hello, everybody.
Axel's mom, we know you're out there.
Yes, Axel's mom, wherever you are. This goes out to you. You don't need to know what that means. All right, so as he said, I'm Timmy Ray. I just put out a new album called Green Light. Recorded it all with my friend Caleb, produced it for me. It's been a lot of fun. I'm finally out on the road promoting it. I was out in Texas last week, and I'll be in Western Kansas, and I'll find out soon. There may be a drastic life change, which means I'll have weekends free that I can actually keep touring and promoting this album. We will see. But I'm actually going to do a bold move, and I'm going to start with a new song that isn't on the album, just because I'm excited to get feedback on it. And it's kind of a weird one to start on. It's like a really unnecessarily dark and petty song about an ex. So it's called Drink and Drive. Working title, but here we go. Pack up your stuff and I'll give you the stars. Let your instincts guide you with the wind and the bars. A few more poor decisions and you'll be at your best. I say burn California with the rest of the West. Oh, darling, however you get there, I ain't wishing you bad luck. But if somehow you never made it, I probably wouldn't care too much. How many miles before you pull to the side? Got yourself a new ride with a glimpse of your thigh. In a new bed on the flat of your back. Legs extended and a toast to the past. Oh, darling, however you get there, I ain't wishing you bad luck. But if somehow you never made it, I probably wouldn't care too much. Here's 100 my highways to choose from. Pick any one you like. Watch for deer and always check your seatbelt every time you drink and drive. burned every memory, but I couldn't get your telephone number out of my head. So I wrote it down in a bathroom stall. I promised a good time, man, I promise you they'll call. Oh, darling, however you get there, I ain't wishing you bad luck. But if somehow you never made it, well, I probably wouldn't care too much. Thank you. Like I said, this song to start with, I played a show, like I said, in Texas the other day, and I got some criticism I got was a lot of my songs are slow and sad, which was not the feeling that particular crowd wanted, but luckily I found my people. So,
yeah, no, like Townsend's they had never made it.
Slow and sad songs in
That's what I'm
Texas.
saying. That's what I'm saying. This one's a little more upbeat. It's another breakup song. I've a lot of those. So. Hold your breath. I got smoke in my eyes, and I wanna keep from crying. Ain't nothing left. The speakers are blown, so I drive around in silence. Well, here I am, walking on my own again. But here I am, lost in the crowd. And here I am, trying to get up again. But here I am, falling down. Well, Kentucky was the place where I learned self-reliance. Well, I was lucky once, but it feels like the time to come out of hiding. Well, here I am, walking on my own again. But here I am, lost in the crowd. And here I am, trying to get up again. But here I am, falling down. And here I am, walking on my own again. But here I am, lost in the crowd. And here I am, trying to get up again. But here I am, falling down. And here I am, trying to get home again. But here I am, anywhere else. And here I am, trying to explain again. But here I am, talking to myself. There's a couple of these songs that like stress me out because they're easy to mess up, but this is I can't tell you. I was gonna give you some information, but I forgot we're gonna decide later which ones were written in a long time and which ones were written in 5 minutes. But this is one or the other. As this album was coming together, I asked someone. I was like, "Dude, how many songs can you have on a country album about like roads and highways? Like, how many is too many?" And he's like, I don't know, man. But it's just like, just say that it was a theme and that you did it on purpose. So that, okay. So this is another thematic song about highways that I totally wrote on purpose. So it's called Roadside Assistance.
Good song.
Thank you. Always good to have a fan in the crowd. You all will be by the time this is over.
It's already finished.
Life's full of lessons about moving on. Don't look in the rear view, they say. Got the highway depression, the radio's on. Sad songs is all it can play. They tell you long distance, it never can work. But it's not because we won't try. It's the miles and hours between us that hurt. It's the going home to nothing at night. I need a roadside assistance on I-95. The boss's truck's on the side of the road. The tank's full of diesel, it turns on a dime. But I can't seem to drive it no more. I left you on your front porch waving goodbye. A picture I simply can't stand. I gotta work in the morning, honey, that ain't no lie. But I'm not sure that I give a damn. I need a roadside assistance on I-95. The boss's truck's on the side of the road. The tank's full of diesel, it turns on the dime. But I can't seem to drive it no more. I'm calling to tell you I'm stuck and I'm waiting. I'll sit here as long as it takes. The keys, they are sitting in the truck's ignition. Let the boss come drive it away. I need a roadside assistance on I-95. The boss's truck's on the side of the road. The tank's full of diesel, it turns on a dime. But I can't seem to drive it no more. I just got a few more.
You take your time, Tim.
Okay.
You sound great.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Amazing in this room.
Yeah, the acoustics in here are fantastic.
Yeah, and like no mic needed.
Yeah. This song. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the first one wasn't sad. It was great.
That's true.
See, right? That's not sad.
Well, this one's a little sad.
Sorry.
This song is about not breaking up, but kind of wanting to. So. This one was actually originally written as a duet with me and a woman, and we tried to find a time to get it recorded, and it kind of fell through. And then like a whole 2 years went by, and I was like, you know what, I really want to record this duet. I found another woman to do it with, and then she got sick, and so I just decided to record it myself. And one day it will reappear as a duet. This song's called Gold and Silver. The sun's been dead for hours, but I'm awake, sending all these messages that somehow sound the same. Ultimatums, answer me or make us move our separate ways. The sun's been dead for hours, a mistake. You're dodging all these questions that somehow all sound the same. It's complicated, let's avoid any blame. Sometimes it just works out this way. Let's pretend our words can make a difference. Make believe we're choosing between gold and silver. I'm just saying, tomorrow we will wake up and everything will be the same. There's no taking back the things you say. No future can withstand all of the promises you made, declarations we could never keep. But we try anyway. It takes two to lose the game we play. One to take the world by storm and the other to hide away. Conversations we would never have any other way. Let's pretend our words will make a difference. Make believe we're choosing between gold and silver. I'm just saying, tomorrow we will wake up and everything will be the same. Another round of heartache as predicted. Can't even tell apart our biggest fears, biggest wishes on a mission to make a mess of things, just to come back in the morning and pick up all the pieces. Let's pretend our words will make a difference. Make believe we're choosing between gold and silver. I'm just saying, tomorrow we will wake up and everything will be the same. And everything will be the same. This one goes out to Eva, because I know that you've heard it before, because you commented on it on TikTok once.
Okay.
This song was, I was challenged to write a gospel song. So I wrote a gospel song about skipping church to go fishing. It's called God Lives in This River.
Yeah, I don't know what I said.
Yeah.
This is the 5-minute song.
We'll talk about it later. I actually can't say if you're ever on.
All right.
The answer might actually surprise you. All right. I see the church growing smaller in my rearview mirror this Sunday morning. I don't need no creed, no pews, no choirs. I ain't afraid of sweating and praying. No, I ain't afraid of facing a Savior. I am headed straight to the source. They say God lives in this river. I can hear his voice on the wind. I can see the surface move neath his fingers as he traces the water with his hands. They say God walked on these banks, and I feel the presence within. Lord knows that I'll be fishing this river when he comes back to walk here again. The first day is holy, well, so is his bounty, and I feel it tugging in Osage County. But man can't live on bread alone. Some say they see God in cathedral ceilings, and others in stained glass pictures of Eden. The farther I walk, the more I'm at home. They say God lives in this river. I can hear his voice on the wind. I can see the surface move neath his fingers as he traces the water with his hands. They say God walked on these banks, and I feel the presence within. Lord knows that I'll be fishing this river when he comes back to walk here again. Lord knows that I'll be fishing this river when he comes back to walk here again. All right. I'm going to read the title track to this album called Green Light, which I do enjoy a lot. I'm going to be honest, I don't know why. I've played the song a million times. I keep messing it up every time I play it in front of people. So we'll see. We'll see. I already messed up. Oh yeah, by the way, don't forget, follow Timmy Ray Music on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Clapper now, whatever the hell that is. I'm on there.
Brought to you by Cowboy Revolution.
Brought to you by Cowboy Revolution, let me tell you. Yeehaw or whatever. Alright, here comes Green Light. Green eyes and a whole lot of trouble. A good heart broken a dozen times. Green light, I think I saw the signal. Good God Almighty, I hope I'm right. I have no idea what this waiting's all about, but I know that I will die trying to find out. Let's skip all the hassle, jump right to the truth. Do you want to know what I see? When I look at you, I see green eyes and a whole lot of trouble. A good heart broken a dozen times. Green light, I think I saw the signal. Good God Almighty, I hope I'm right. I've been holding back, I know she's heard it all before. I keep hoping that I won't need to hope no more. Let's skip all the hassle. No games, no lines. She's got too much on her plate and not enough damn time. She's got green eyes and a whole lot of trouble. A good heart broken a dozen times. Green light, I think I saw the signal. Good God Almighty, I hope I'm right. Good God Almighty, I know I'm right. It's short, it is really sad. This one's like a little too real. We all have drank, raise your hand if you've ever had KD before. Kentucky Deluxe.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the world's cheapest bourbon. This song's called Katie.
I thought it was about the gold medalist Kevin Durant.
No, close though.
That would have somehow been sad.
Yeah, this song is called, it's called Katie. So, here we go. The wagon, it rolled to a stop. Didn't take long before I jumped right off, digging for quarters in the couch cushions. I'm drinking Katie again. Each night it hits like a storm. Instead of running for cover, I'm begging for more. The morning strikes like lightning. I'm drinking Katie again. Some things they never do change. Move back a mile for each step that I take. This new start will never begin. I'm drinking Katie again. The people behind me averting their eyes at the corner store when my card got declined. The cashier, she told me a nice little lie. Lately the system ain't been working right. The wagon, it rolled to a stop. Didn't take long before I jumped right off, digging for quarters in the couch cushions. I'm drinking Katie again. Thank you. Like I said, I got CDs for sale, and I'll be around. We'll talk about things. Thank you very much.
Not yet. If they told me I'm
Tim, thank you so much, man. I have to say, you don't always get the biggest crowds at these readings, but I think that the performers that we get, honestly, are better than other parts of the region. Those people can go suck it. We have an embarrassment of riches here a lot of times, and Tim is a big part of that. And thanks to him, and thanks to Cowboy Revolution out here.
Yes, we keep saying it, Cowboy Revolution.
That's right. That's right. Tim, how can people that aren't here, how can they get your album?
So you can, if you go to any of my socials, there's a link where you can go to where you can order a physical copy, and where it's on Spotify and Amazon and Apple, wherever it is streaming, you can find it. So.
Okay. Is there a way for people to get copies from you?
Yeah, if you go to that link, it's my link tree, just
Okay.
linktree/Timmy Ray Music. You can also order one directly from me. So.
Awesome.
And I have some here.
Well, get them now while you can.
free shipping from here.
Yeah, free shipping.
Yeah, it's a distance from here to there.
I said it's free, it's good.
So, all right. I'd like to make one announcement, which is we were supposed to be in here next month on September 14th. That is going to be September 21st instead. And Colin in particular, I will remind you, it's going to be a week later because my dad is having some health issues and I need some time to go back to see what's going on. And Victor decided to launch his book in October instead of September. So that's why he'll be in the area in October, and he's going to read here as part of our large event that I do with 15 readers. He'll be here for that. He's launching a 500-page volume of his poems that Jason is going to put out, and that will be in October. And he's also going to take part in the what is this thing that you're doing? What's the name of it?
St. Louis Small Press Poetry Con.
Okay, I keep forgetting. The con is on.
Con is on.
So, but Victor will be here with his 500-page book. He'll be here. He'll be at that event in St. Louis. They're both the same week. So that will happen in October. And in between, on September 21st, we're going to have in a poet named Richard Steinbeck. And Richard Steinbeck is a friend of Jason's. He did a book on Spark Press. So he'll be here Saturday, September 21st at 6 p.m. I'm going to try to book a second reader with him. As soon as I know who that is, I will let you know. Because I'm kind of working on the fly. So beyond that, I'd like to just welcome up this next gentleman who I officially met at AWP in Kansas City in February, which was a terrible, beautiful thing. You know, it was exhausting, but also like we met at an event for Justin Ham's Poet baseball cards. If you don't know about those, they're super cool. Justin, is there a way people can still get those?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of same as Tim. If you go on to and look up Poet baseball cards on any of the socials, then yeah, it's the pinned post on there. It'll show you how to get a hold of them. So, yeah.
Well, as we talked about, I had hoped that we would get the other John Freeman here, but we're stuck with what we got. So we're very fortunate to have, in all seriousness, John Freeman here with us from Detroit, which is also a terrible, beautiful thing because I've spent a lot of time there. So the first time I ever went into the city of Detroit as a young man, the first thing I saw was just a car on fire.
Really?
And I don't know what was going on. We didn't stop to find out. But that's what I think about whenever I think of the city of Detroit. And you're too clean shaven for all of that. But so I'd just like to welcome John up. He too has merchandise over here, and the shipping from here to there isn't all that far away. Yeah, so if you like what you hear, if you don't like what you hear, talk to him. One of the things that I find when I go anywhere is people are always afraid or intimidated to talk to the performers that are there, and it just makes the experience like more isolating. So if you don't have any money, it's cool, but just go join him in conversation. And I appreciate it. And thank you guys so much. And John Freeman, welcome up.
Hey, thanks, man. Man, Timmy, I love your songs. No joke. This is so good. And your voice sound is beautiful. It's
Yeah,
really,
he sounded spectacular.
yeah.
It was pretty great.
Oh, man.
Good
Yeah.
mixture.
I mean, these acoustics are incredible.
Really, that natural reverb, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got such an easy delivery. It sounded wonderful. I'm going to start out with a poem about my brother-in-law, who owns a window washing company. It's called An Ode to the Proprietor of the Eastern Great Lakes Window Washing Company. There is a swath of green beyond the window and a ceramic tiger that appears to slouch in reflection, or preen, or crouch before pouncing. The way some images belie the substance that composes everything or underpins it or slackens it. Call that substance what you will, quark or dark matter, carbon, basketball, or atom. I have my theories and suspicions. I remember being a face in a Polaroid, pale as an X-rayed bone. We were watching the Pistons close out the Lakers in 2004 in some dive bar on the border of Dearborn and Detroit. That was a decade and a half ago. Now my brother-in-law owns a window washing business that's hell on his back. He'd be unhappy with this view spackled with bird shit, pollen, and dead bugs, which makes it mid-June, which means somewhere Chauncey Billups is dragging Shaquille O'Neal through high screen and rolls and hitting 15-footers on automatic. The game has changed since then. Back then you had to tire the big man out like prayers, but formal innovations in basketball don't last the way they do in poems. Now there are no big men, just short run and gun stanzas. I remember that June. She was sobbing in a tulle gown, The tamarack had grown too close to the roof, dropping needles on it. My brother-in-law can't praise enough how a trace of copper repels the snot-green shingle rot that crusts to roofs and windows. Tomorrow he will work with suds in the sun, draping a cloth over a metal extension to soak the second-story panes on a residential job while I sleep. If vocation is all we have of meaning, dispassionate absurdity is earned, and I am only tangentially alive. I could clean this window and end up killing several birds over the course of several days. It's not the southwest wind that makes a ladder or a tamarack sway. It's not the job of poles to be windows. I was talking to Timmy earlier about horseback riding. A couple of my good friends' parents owned a horse farm in Romulus, Michigan, which is just near Detroit Metro Airport when I was a kid. So I go out there a lot, try to get on horses and hang out with all of them. This is called a Georgic for Sally and Darla. My friend Sally got a cow named Darla from her grandchildren last Christmas. She took the cow for a ceremonial spin around the indoor riding ring at her farm. Sally held a candy cane pattern lead line in her hand. Darla wore a red bow around her neck and an ivy halter around her square head. A square head seems to be a desirable trait among purchasers of bovines. Sally never cared too much for your kind of kindness when she was out there in her snowsuit giving riding lessons on February nights. She cared more about her horses and how you treated them than you, which is its own kindness, or if not kindness exactly, something we might call humane. She cared more for how you treated them than you, dissected the animal's sentence so she could tell you how to act. A cow gnaws on a cud of clover at Sally Rushlow's farm. No contingency of the subordinate clause in her instruction. Don't dig your heels into the animal's side. Don't jerk on the bitted mouth. Sit up. Equitate. Equitate may not be a real verb, but you didn't get cute about prescriptive grammars and the imperative syntax of equitation, not with Sally. None of us loved her then, but now that we're grown, we agree those were the best times of our lives, which might lead you to believe we're lachrymose and bitter or simply bored to tears. Sad people. I myself wonder if those memories have been cowed by the treacle of time. We know you can make a cow of memories, as you can make a verb of cow, as you can horse any lexicon into absurdity. Although it has two out-facing eyes, a memory is a myopic animal with a square head. Treacle is the honey lathered over time. Just as a big house surrounded by acres of pasture can be made to stand for something more than itself, a cow or horse can come in the guise of a gift, that surplus of the giver's self. In the ring, the stapled ribbons flit, while children learn to trot the serpentine and care for what they can't afford to own. I lost my dad 3.5 years ago, so I'm going to read a kind of elegiac poem that I wrote around the time of his death. It's called Dichotomy Paradox as a non-fungible token. The dichotomy paradox is one of Zeno's paradoxes of motion, where it's like, okay, if it's kind of a riposte to Pythagoras. It's like, okay, if the world's made up of numbers and points take up zero space, we can never get to one point, from one point to another, because we constantly be dividing zero in half. I want a different year in clean white snow. I want the rapid senescence afforded the possum before triumph, just before that moment of collapse. It's not for play. It's so it can't remember what befalls it. A possum isn't playing possum. I want my father back. I want a different father with the same tastes and the same loves. I want a different flower than what bloomed in the boxwood hedges without germination. I want to read the book Melville's Final Voyage, which my father owns in a dream. I'm not a seafarer, but I'm not faring well, I want to say. The snow that fell as heavy slush early in the day has turned to eider down. People move, and of course the mounds of snow drift, and the plows drive like nobody exists. When the streets are revealed, they're irrevocably changed, cratered like the moon or the bottom of a sea. A neighbor offered me her snowblower, but I prefer shovel marks, knife edge to the driveway. It's hard to imagine what the phrase coming back must have meant once. To have it mean anything, one would have to watch the plow returning and not have picked up the trajectory of the turn before the vehicle began coming back. One would want to have a different life in clear white snow and want a different bloom than the one created by the snow that February day along the boxwood hedgerows with wine in the decanter and thought-heavy thoughts for the ones who left us in the garden. My voice hissing through clenched teeth. I want a different echo than the possum. I want a different name. For as long as I can remember, I'm both annoyed and haunted by my name. I don't think this is a unique relationship to have to one's name. I imagine everyone is at times annoyed and at other times haunted by their names, but I dwell on mine far too much. Others are even brave enough to change them, and I'm not talking about some monosyllabic nom de plume haphazardly applied, but legally change them. My name is why it takes me so long to clear the car, to broom it off before starting it and scraping the windows. These are too many names and numerals for one life, but they're so indelibly correct that I hum them in the cold snow and again in the warm car. It's what I don't know back there at the root, and I'm too listless to learn that does the haunting. It's who I don't know. It's the theology of John Calvin and how he came to be known as John Calvin, the prevenient grace some of them have been afforded. I give up a little more every day. I drive to bar 342 for corned beef sliders. I read Fannie Howe's Second Childhood as I sip Canadian clubbed whiskey and wait for my lunch. The man next to me has a voice like a half-empty matchbox rattling itself awake. He doesn't know how he's doing yet. He's here to retrieve a car left in the parking lot. He asks if the book I'm reading is my AA booklet. John, 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 and John I read in the poem Between Delays. I underline the 4 instances of my name with a Kino pencil. John is his name too, I find out, and his voice isn't like a matchbox, I decide as I note the slack skin around his throat. It's more like a light breeze over dying wheat. I tell him I'd have flunked out within a few hours, but I've got step 1 down. I don't think you can actually flunk out of their program. I read a poem called Loneliness, scarf down my sliders and pay my tab. There's too much data in this place. Kino screens, an internet jukebox, a baby shower with a chicken wing buffet. There's too much data in the enjambed lines of the book, what a friend of mine has called hangnail stanzas, for to latch onto anything other than my name in this personification of loneliness that might be clearing snow and driving to lunch. John follows me out. A balloon is trapped in the forehead. He warns me not to pop it. He paraphrases the book of John as he lights a cigarette, says the truth will set me free. John's my name, he explains, and that's from the book of John, and I should try to live my life by the idea that the truth will set you free. I thank him. I don't tell him how homonyms ensnare us, or how the sunlight on ragged snow renders the romance of hunkering down remote. It's too easy to drive now. For anyone to truly come back, the road would have to adopt a chronology of hours. I don't want the road to adopt a chronology of hours. I could be going out for all they know. They who pave this road with too many miles. The more of it they plow, the less of me spins out. There's an elegance to Zeno's paradox that circumvents the civic mind, and a loveliness to leftover weather that one mustn't lose in the sun. I need to have my tires rotated. Something. A good barroom needs good haruspices, the way prophecy needs a self to fulfill its self-fulfilling augurs. They don't have to do much, but observe the damage and guess right. I'll heat my liver for reading any afternoon. I'll read one more poem for you. This is called Epistle to the Donut Shop. I come from Detroit proper. That's where I grew up, and now I live in Dearborn, Michigan, which is the first suburb west of Detroit. And Dearborn sort of exists in strange ways in the right-wing collective consciousness of this country. Like right-wing pastor Terry Jones came to Dearborn to protest because he thought all the white people in Dearborn were living under Sharia law. And then, you know, every time some kind of Islamophobic thing gets floated in social media or on the news, people come to Dearborn for various reasons.
Does Dearborn still have a huge Iraqi population? Because that's one of the things I knew about it.
Yeah, it's mostly, so there's an Iraqi population in West Detroit, like along the Warren Avenue corridor, which then goes into Dearborn. Dearborn's more Lebanese though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as is Toledo, but I knew that Dearborn had.
Yeah, but I would say like East Dearborn and like that little part of West Detroit, a strong Iraqi population. They got a lot of refugees got relocated there in like '05 through the Bush State Department. This is a poem about a place that used to be called Golden Boy Donuts, but is now called Hamito Restaurant. I used to go there with my dad, and then later, when it was a Lebanese restaurant, I would go there as an adult. Dear Warren Avenue, dear aluminum green awning, beneath which people waiting for the Dearborn bus would dodge the rain. Polish women in dripping babushkas clutching shopping bags from Fairlane Mall. Young black men headed for the suburbs to for work. Millwrights going home for a grueling shift at Rouge. Golden Boy Donuts, I write to you as I would write to my parents if letters were still necessary, and they are, of course. Because every outmoded medium gives us so much we do not know we need. Dear father, seated in a booth behind a wall of windows, drinking coffee, reading student essays pulled from an ink-starred manila folder, glancing out at the avenue guttering with puddles in discarded shopping bags while my 3-year-old self eats glazed cake donut holes and listens to Helen and Elizabeth, immigrant first cousins who own the place, speak to each other in Polish. My childhood is narrated by languages I still don't understand, except in cadence and intent. My mother speaking Spanish with Maria Chavez, our next-door neighbor, for hours while the neighborhood kids ran in the spume of an uncapped hydrant in July. Shanez Shamsuddin calling her children in Arabic as the streetlights buzzed down. I would watch the water runnel off of you and splay like feathers. Once I tripped in a mud puddle in the alley and Helen fished me out and bathed me in the prep kitchen where they kneaded and cut the dough and sifted powdered sugar over the Euclidean shapes of pastries, swaddling me in warm dish towels while we waited for my clothes to dry. My mother worked midnights at triage at receiving hospital, and she would sleep during the day, which meant that while we were eating donuts, she was dreaming of gunshot victims and the stunned, doughy faces of cardiac arrest. Those stab wounds like sequined dime purses, near overdoses with glassy eyes and pustule forearm scabs, police badges glinting in halogen light, which meant that while my father read bad prose written by the 18-year-old children of auto workers for Composition 1 at Wayne State University, my mother's dreams were narrated by a tinny voice reciting injuries and traumas into an analog telephone receiver over a crackling PA. Dear Donut Shop, you are gone. Not gone exactly, but your lime green facade has been painted pink, and your smell of dough and coffee has been replaced by garlic and kibbe. And the family that owns this place came here fleeing a war, the way Helen and Elizabeth came here fleeing war in a wholly different world, yet a world defined by those twin forces of violence and refuge. And I love this place still. as I love my mother and father while remembering donut and steaming styrofoam cups of coffee. Dear Panito Restaurant, dear Golden Boy, dear Father, dear Mother, traumatized by all that you have seen, dear Dearborn, eat kafta in the same building, watching the blacktop avenue blear with rain and oil. Women in hijabs pushing little wire carts out of Arab markets. Ajah, liturgical script above the English signage. And I'm nostalgic for what hasn't really changed. Thank you for having me. Man, this is really awesome to be a part of this. Yeah. Thank you all for turning
I was
out.
gonna say, my friend Amy, for many years, was the head pastry chef at the Ritz-Carlton in Dearborn.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And,
it's like a mile from my house.
yeah, one year, like, you think of all the poverty in Detroit, and then, like, one year for my birthday, she made me a cake.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if I was at the Ritz-Carlton, how much would this cake be? And she was like, $3,000.
That's wild.
And she didn't blink, and she was on Cake Boss a couple of times.
That's
for
amazing.
pastries.
Yeah, that was a really fancy hotel. So story about that, that's on Southfield Freeway at the corner of Hubbard and Southfield, kind of between Michigan and Hubbard. You drive like a mile north of there, you're in Detroit proper, and there used to be a pub down there called the Timmy Ray Pub that was at Southfield and Joy Road on the Detroit side. Rod Stewart was staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and he asked him where he could get a pint of Guinness. And at that point, back in like the late 80s, there weren't a lot of places in Detroit that had Guinness on tap. So they sent him down to the Tip. So it was like my friend Tommy O'Halloran owned the Tip. That was his claim to fame. He had a big picture of Rod Stewart like outside of the men's bathroom at the Tip because he got sent down there for the Ritz,
That's fun.
which are two very different settings within a mile of each other. Yeah.
Right.
True. No, man, both of you guys were spectacular. John, it was great to have you. Tim, you sounded awesome. The
Yeah,
acoustics
That
in
was
here
beautiful, man.
really lended themselves
Thank you.
to it, man. You sounded great. And I've said this repeatedly, and I'll say it again. You should be making a living doing this. Like, your songs are fantastic. And I'm grateful to the folks at Cowboy Revolution for
Yes.
I am. So I'd like to thank Mark and Tony for letting us be in here. It's always a pleasure. Again, September 21st at 6 p.m. Richard Steinbeck will be here. I'm going to pair him with somebody. I'll figure it out. But September 21st, the next time that we are in here. And then in October, we're going to be here October 19th on Saturday, which will start at 4 o'clock. And the reason why it's going to be earlier is we have like 15 people, and I just have to get through it. And again, the con is on all week, that week in St. Louis. So we look forward to that, and maybe next month, Jason will be able to tell us even more about that, because we'll be close to it. All right, we're going to take a few minute break. Come talk to John, come talk to Tim, then we will come back, and whoever wants to read can read. Thank you so much.
Yeah.